unsettled.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Annabella Sasha, if you will. I posted last month about Bridgerton. I was doing a reading vlog. Guys, we're back and we're here to talk about Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I love Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I'm currently in the middle of reading Heroes of Olympus. I'm on book 4 of 5? Yes, 4 or 5. I read the Percy Jackson series when I got older. I read a fanfic of Percy Jackson as a kid without reading the books, which is crazy. Stay with me. Season 2 of Percy Jackson just came out in December and January. It had weekly episodes. I was posting about it on TikTok and Instagram, and a lot of you guys followed me because of that, so thank you. I wanted to talk about why I think the Percy Jackson show is better than the books. I know, controversial. I have this edition, guys. I want the older one because the older ones were so like cunty slay. Like, I want the older ones. I'm gonna go into like 8 reasons why I think the show is better for book 2. Okay, for book 2. I don't know about how you feel about season 1, but for book 2, me personally, these are my thoughts. These are my opinions. Please don't come at me in the comments. I'm not going to do a recap of the show because there are plenty of people on YouTube who do that. I'd rather just talk about it from a standpoint of a book enthusiast, not a book purist, enthusiast of why I think the show is better than the books. So far, thus far. Percy Jackson's book 2 is called Sea of Monsters. Okay, season 2, we have very different stakes in the show. It feels incredibly different. So let's start off with the first thing I wrote down, which is characterization of minor characters beyond Percy. This is the number one thing that I think makes the show richer and better than the books. In the books, it's written at Percy's point of view. As we know, he is, I believe, 13 years old in Sea of Monsters. And so his personal monologue is very la la la, ha ha ha, funny. He gets ADHD, all the demigods do, same. It's very much giving like young kid. Okay, the books were made in the early 2000s. They were written by Rick Riordan and they were for young kids, like preteen, middle school-esque. The show, its audience is a bit bigger and wider. It's people who read the books when they were kids and who are in their 20s now, or younger people, and just like it's of anybody's age group, you know what I'm saying? But when you read the books, it is kind of Percy's perspective and idea of every other character. So his perspective of Clarice, Luke, Annabeth, Grover, Mr. D, Chiron, all these people, his viewpoint of it, because it's first person point of view. The show, however, is out of his point of view. I think like he's narrating it, however, you get to see characters outside of this. So the show literally starts off with Grover on his quest, a hunt to find Pan, after he received his searcher's license in the first season. And already I'm like, I love this. I love this. I love this. Please give me other characters besides Percy and his point of view. Okay, we get into other characters that are honestly not fleshed out and a little bit flat in the story in the books. So like Clarice, for example, the entire season is about her quest. Pretty much the Sea of Monsters is her quest. We know that she goes on a quest and she's seen as this very like bully character in the books, which she is kind of a bully in the show as well. But we get to see more of her, like when she goes to see the Oracle, you realize it's her talking to herself, which means she hates herself, which is really dark. You get to see more of her daddy issues. You get to see her struggles throughout the quest and her inability to really like trust people and be friends with anybody because her father raised her very to be much like you have to be your own like arrogant ruler, these types of things. So her characterization in the show is much better than the books. I would also like to add, show writers are amazing and Rick is a part of the show, which is why it is so good. When you have the person who created the source material a part of the show, it makes it like, that's why the changes are good. That's why I'm not like, oh my gosh, this is so different, such a departure from the books, because it's really not that much of a departure. It's just an adaptation. And I think book purists, you guys are actually so lame and you're not having any fun because you're not actually enjoying yourself. I fight book purists online all the time. And I think that you guys don't get to actually like immerse yourself in a different universe outside of the books. Like, I don't even think about the books when I watch the show. I want you to surprise me. I don't want to be watching and be like, oh, this is exactly like what happened in the books. Another thing that people complain about was they took out like the dodgeball scene. They took out like some minor scenes that happened in the books, like the chariot race at the end of season 2. They took out things that, to be honest, we didn't need. We didn't need. People were upset that they took out the fact that Tyson, a big character that comes into the season, they didn't really get to show him and Percy like grow, get closer, and instead they did it like in a small like montage in the first episode. And the fact that Percy can see them through the mist and realizes that Tyson is a Cyclops immediately, but in the books he can't really tell, and then he like figures out later that he is a Cyclops. I think that if Percy's been a demigod for a year, he would be smart enough to realize Tyson's a Cyclops. And his mother, Sally Jackson, all hail Sally Jackson, would also be able to see through the mist as well. And that adds to the lore. And I think that if you're bored of that, you're weird. Another thing too, we have Luke. His characterization, honestly, in the books, Luke's wrath and his anger, his fatal flaw, is his driving force. However, in the show, because you get to see his point of view, him on the Andromeda, him doing things that he shouldn't be doing because he's so angry at the gods and he's so angry at everybody, you get to see more of his conflict, his struggle between wanting to do this and feeling as though, am I doing this the right thing? Am I really doing the right thing? You get to see that struggle back and forth. They added a lot of scenes as well in the show that didn't happen in the books at all, that to me added to that, and it added to Luke's storyline, because I think when Luke ultimately dies, because spoiler alert, not spoiler alert, he dies in the last book. Having him, you see his struggle, almost become a Luke apologist, which is a good thing, because Luke is a foil to Percy. You're supposed to be able to be like, I actually kind of feel bad for Luke. Whereas in the books, Percy's point of view is so, I hate Luke. Luke is so stupid. He betrayed me. Whereas you kind of get to see how like Luke almost betrays himself, his past self, how he struggles with that, because all of this was over Thalia and what happened to Thalia. Annabeth, you get to see Annabeth's growth and development outside of, as a character too, beyond like her going on the quest, but more of like her relationship with her mother and how that really like it really messes with her mind, her relationship with Thalia and how that really played a role in why she is who she is. The flashbacks we got to see this season really built such a, like, outside of Percy, because you know what you realize, outside of Percy you get to see how this thing that's been going on, this problem with the gods and everything, it started way before Percy got here. Like, you just got here, Bubba. Like, we've been having beef and issues for a long time. So I like that part. This TV show is darker and more serious than Percy's silly POV, and the books get darker as it goes along. However, I do feel the departure from book 2 and 3, Sea of Monsters and Titan's Curse, is drastic in the books. I did feel like, whoa, we're getting into like kids dying, and this was a lot. However, in the show, a child dying in the next season wouldn't be so crazy, because we literally saw in the last episode of season 2, please go watch it before you watch this video, where they're battling it out. Like, Luke was gonna kill Percy. Luke stabs Percy. So it feels more like consequential. Everything feels more heavy and like, oh my gosh, this is seriously bad. Whereas like the war in the books didn't feel as serious until we got to like Battle of the Labyrinth or the death of some characters in Titan's Curse. And obviously like the last Olympian, everybody was dying. From the very beginning, people were blowing up, people were dying left and right.
This ain't the Oscars, is it? I'm used to something a little bit different, but let's go. We bring our own drinks up in places like this.
So I do like the fact that the show is more dark, because when Luke stabs Percy, you're kind of like, wait. Or when Luke and Percy are fighting and Luke stabs him or is trying to stab him and kill him, Percy hesitates because he's like, wait, are you gonna actually kill me for real? Like, I like that. Allison, her character, she's so annoying. But she plays a bigger role in the idea of what happens to Camp Half-Blood kids when they get older and they're part of a rebellion because they've been abandoned. You're kind of like in a foster care system. You're at camp, you get kicked out when you turn 18, somewhat, and then you're left to fend for yourself. What is this foster care system? It's all messed up from the very beginning. So I do really enjoy the fact that the show is darker, and by it being darker, it reaches a bigger audience beyond middle school kids. Because if you really want a show to be successful, you got to be able to reach a lot of people. Number 3, the characters' motivations are more complex, and I've been saying this. So Percy's motivation, and he's led by the fact that he's loyal, right? That's his fatal flaw. Loyalty, if you will. Now you might be thinking, why is loyalty a bad thing? He's loyalty to a fault. It makes him get in situations where he gets double-crossed easily. And it's also something where he will put aside everything just because he's loyal to his friends. In the books...
Percy, wait!
You're right. You guys should be afraid of me because that lady's right.
No!
Yes, she is.
If you're talking about the great prophecy, that's 3 years away. We have to get past the sirens and save Grover now.
You're not hearing me. What if we get there and I have to choose between saving Grover and saving Camp? My flaw isn't just fatal to me.
Look, stop. It's okay.
What if I'm more human than demigod?
His fatal flaw doesn't feel fatal at all. I'm gonna be so for real with you. Like, fatal? Barely. However, in the show, you feel it way more because he abandons a lot on these quests just to save his friends. He does not gaff. He abandons things to the whole lightning bolt in first season for his mother, his loyalty to his mother. He does not gaff. He don't gaff. He don't care. But the gods, their rules, the realm of the show, he does not care. In the show, they perfectly execute this by making it so Percy's like, I'm going on a quest. I don't care if I get killed, because they're literally like, shoot on sight if you leave campus. If you leave camp, Half-Blood, he's like, I'm gonna go save Grover. Loyalty. Okay, him going on the Andromeda to save when Tyson gets taken, and him trying to save Annabeth. Loyalty. Even when he's speaking to Luke and fighting with Luke, and Luke is like, join our side, there's still a part of Percy that actually tries to convince Luke, hey, don't do this. You don't have to do this. There's like a slight part of him, although Luke is trying to get him to join, there's a slight part of him that's kind of like, you don't have to do this. We are better than our parents a little bit. And that's almost slight loyalty to the friend that he first made when he got to camp, which was Luke. Okay, like a slight, like if you squint, you can kind of see the loyalty in there. As we know, the famous scene when he says, I'd burn Olympus down for you. Oh, I'd say, if I had to choose between you and camp, if I had to choose between you and Grover Annabeth, I'd choose you. I'd do it, I'd burn it all down.
Yes!
His loyalty to Annabeth is a huge arc in the show. A huge arc in the books. However, you don't really feel it in the books. You could guess that he'd feel that way, but when he openly says it, that's when you're like, oh no, that's bad. And I know that the gods, all of the people, they'd be like, did he just say he'd burn it down for this other girl?
If I had to choose between saving you or saving Olympus, Annabeth, I'd burn it all down.
That's a problem. Oh no. So you almost feel more of a severity with his flaw, his motivations. Annabeth's motivation, her motivation is just to survive. That girl's just she's trying to save her family, okay? And it feels more dire at the fact that you see childhood and how stressful it is, okay? Luke's motivation too, as a character, like I said, you get into more of why is he the way he is, and can it be fixed? Almost. Like, can we fix this? No, okay? So there is more complexity in their motivations in the show than in the books. The books, it's there, it's just not as straightforward. Number 4, Thalia's arc. The girl who haunts the narrative. Thalia Grace, oh, she is everything to me. Thalia Grace is, at the end of the day, she is a turning point for everything that happens in the story. So much of what happens in the story is because of Thalia Grace. Her turning into a tree. Okay, she gets turned into a tree because she was about to die, and her father Zeus saves her. Okay, and takes pity on her, spares her life, turns her into a tree, and it protects Camp Half-Blood. She creates a barrier. Okay, in the show, however, you find out that Zeus does not turn her into a tree to protect her. He turns her into a tree because he wants to use her in the war against the Titans. Okay, however, Thalia Grace is like, I will never be used as your pawn. So Zeus turns into a tree because the girl said no, because she wanted to have bodily autonomy. And that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's genius writing because it makes it more surreal and more like, oh, you have a reason to be angry with the gods. Because in the books, Thalia ends up like almost forgiving her father Zeus by Titan's curse. And I'm like, maybe your daddy ain't. No, I don't like Zeus in the show, and they're doing a good job at showing that he's not a merciful person. He's very evil. He's a little conniving, a little too ego power. You know what I'm saying? So them changing that, showing how Thalia, Luke, and Annabeth were on the run. How she was kind of like, she was running that whole thing. She was trying to keep him alive. How much she was like, don't ever mess with this little girl. If anything happens to her, I'm gonna kill one of y'all. You'll have me to answer to. I was like, oh, she's so everything. She's so powerful. I love her. Okay. And then you get into Thalia, like she feels like in the book she feels so like there, like mentioned a lot, but like she doesn't feel as impactful, so much so that when she shows up in book 3 or when she wakes up at the end of book 2 and she's a main character in book 3, it kind of feels like, oh okay, like we saw this coming, like whatever. In the show we do see it coming, we know that she's gonna come back. That's not the surprise. However, the surprise of what actually happened to her and her coming back and it feeling like we have an enemy because it haunts Percy's dreams and nightmares, and like he's like she's gonna be part of the prophecy. It feels more like, oh shoot, like yeah, like Like, if I didn't read the books and I watched the show, I'd be like, is Thalia gonna be evil and join Luke because of her loyalty to him before she got turned? She also is the whole reason why Luke does his motivation, the beginning of his motivation. Luke had a situationship when he was young, and he made it everybody's problem. The end of that situationship, he made it everyone's problem. And I love that. I think that that's way more in depth because it also shows like these are literal children who are losing loved ones and we're supposed to just move on with it. Okay? Seeing Annabeth go to the tree and sit and talk with Thalia, seeing her cry about it, seeing her so upset when Luke stabbing the tree has so much more weight and impact. Oh my gosh. That was the woman you love or girl you love, you know? And you being like, Luke saying to Annabeth, Thalia would be on my side. Why aren't you on my side? That has way more impact because we've seen the flashbacks, because we get to see outside of Percy's point of view. Number 5, the removal of certain things in the show and the addition of certain things is way better. And them having those moments where she literally was like, Boone, baby, what's Boone? Immediately my ears perked. I was like, what's Boone?
Okay, so this secret Chiron told you I can't know.
I know what you're gonna say.
I thought of a way we can make this work just between us.
Guys, I can still hear you.
That's okay, dude.
Percy, you already know there's something you're not supposed to know, which is bad enough.
Okay, so don't tell me anymore.
What?
Don't tell me.
That's your idea?
I trust there's a good reason to stop me from leaving camp or going on the quest or whatever. I trust Chiron, but mostly I trust you. I'm guessing this is something to do with my future or maybe my past that I don't know, but if I did know, it'd make me act a certain way or do something stupid, right? So I'm good not to know. But, and this is key, if you see me doing something that leans in a bad direction, you stop me with a code word.
A code word?
Yeah, I was thinking, Boone.
This stinks.
Well, it's not your code word.
Boone being added to the show.
The talented girls, the amazing girls.
Oh, I love writing. I love adaptation of things. It makes it more heavy, serious, consequential. I love it when things are consequential because we know that this is going to be used later in the show. Annabeth's hat being on everybody's head but hers. Way more consequential. Seeing that it gets taken by Luke or she leaves it on the ship. Seeing that Percy uses it to come save her. Her using it to go against Polyphemus on Polyphemus's island. Oh my gosh. Grover and Clarice being stuck together in the cave. Way more interesting. Oh my gosh. Seeing how Grover is so much like friendship is the power to everything. Huh? Love? Baby Tyson. Daniel Deemer. Oh my gosh. He was aura farming this whole show and I was so into it. I had to keep being like, girl, he's a Cyclops. But like, I was so like, oh. Like, there were some scenes where I was like, why is he kind of, guys. I have no excuse. Like, just seeing him and his want for a brother. I like the fact that they changed the fact that Percy wasn't, in the books, he was kind of like, not ill, but he was like, you're not my brother. You're not my brother. You're not my dad. Bro, you're not my dad. Whereas in the show, Percy is like a little bit weirded out by it, but then you quickly see how much he's like, it doesn't matter though, Tyson's important to me. But this is weird, but Tyson's important to me. We think about like Clarice and her journey and how much you almost see the power of friendship, guys. It was giving Tinkerbell the power of friendship saved that whole quest. Okay, Percy being nice to Clarice, giving her the fleece and being like, just go. Okay, Luke calling, Iris messaging Annabeth while she's on Polyphemus' island, Annabeth answering, Percy hanging up that call. Hot mess. Everything feels more heightened, consequential. It's like, I think the people who are literally like, the books are better, like, you guys are actually, like, you're dumb. Like, I can't even say, like, you're missing, like, it's just, there's something about it where it's like, you don't have maybe a love for the game, a love for the way, like, I'm such a, like, nerd when it comes to literary devices, writing, and just storytelling, that like when things are added to make the story more powerful, more impactful, I'm like, I love this. This is way better. We get into the beloved siren scene that everybody was really, really upset about because they changed so much of it. Seeing Annabeth's mom, Miss Athena, and the way she fell for that. Seeing the tunnel scene where it's Grover trying to stop Percy and Luke from fighting each other, that is so metaphors, symbols, showing how she feels like she's at odds with her family, how she just wants her family back. Okay. Cersei actually takes the earwax and forces Annabeth to have to endure the sirens just because of her schooling for the demigods and all that kind of stuff. It's so much more impactful because it's like it wasn't planned and intended. And oh my gosh, seeing Percy look at himself in the mirror and realize just how bad his fatal flaw is, and him like kind of losing it a little bit, crazy. Him turning into a guinea pig loved. These are all things that happen in the books, but they feel more. And then him saving her. Do I think the siren scene, they could have made it more emotional and heartfelt? Yeah, sure. But I also felt like every episode, Percy and Annabeth, they were so heavy. Percabeth was so heavy in the show as Percabeth pilled down, and it was good. That you didn't really need to have them have a moment where she was crying and they were on the hippocampi and all these different things.
We passed so many impossible trials, I thought. You know, beat the sirens, end the war, bring everyone together, and then my mother would... That's pride. That's hubris.
That's human. You want her to notice you. She should.
Like, there was a lot going on. Them getting back on the Andromeda, them saving the fleece again, Annabeth getting taken. There was a lot going on, but again, I think it just works better in the show. If you follow the book, what I would say and describe the book as is things happen every book, then everything gets wrapped up in the end, and we start a new book. There's a conflict, they solve it, then we start over. In the show, there's a conflict, we resolve some of it, but there's something else going on, and it carries into the next one. Like, Annabeth knowing the great prophecy and kind of being the one to tell Percy, it feeling more serious. There's an open-endedness to the show where you're kind of like, okay, what's next, right? Whereas in the books, they kind of wrap everything up and you're like, Percy starts the new books, like, every book, like, hey, I'm a demigod. What's new? Like, there's a lack of, like, severity to what's going on in the books that I feel like in the show you're kind of like, okay, what about this? Are we gonna fix what happened here? They wrap everything up so cleanly in the books, whereas in the show you're kind of like, okay, what's coming next? The gods and a lot of these other characters feel a lot more sinister and powerful in the TV show. Zeus's behavior with Thalia, up to Poseidon and his behavior with Percy and Tyson, whereas in the books, like, I feel like Poseidon's like not a serious character in the books. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, like, he feels very like unserious to me, like, you know, whereas like in the show I'm like, I know Dada. First of all, the guy who plays him is so fine. The biggest thing they changed that fuels my belief of why the show is better is Percabeth. Everyone says that Percabeth in the show is rushed. They say that it's almost too much because in the books it's like so minor. Do I think Percabeth is slightly different than the books? Yes. I do think that Percy in the books has an affinity towards Annabeth. He has a care for her. However, it's very much veiled by this like that's my friend, like whatever. And Annabeth, her vibes is giving like I like him, but punch him in the shoulder kind of vibes. Whereas in the show, she's not like that. She's a bit more like, you couldn't really tell that she likes him like that until later. You can feel that Percy's feelings are strong. And that's why I'm also confused as to how they're gonna play with Percy, Rachel, Calypso, nonsense, mess, love square nonsense. Because in the show, Percy feels a lot more like Annabeth is more than just a friend, but she's also like such a guide for his understanding of who he is. Like, to me, Annabeth is a Sally Jackson to Percy. I know that's like his mom, but no, I just mean somebody who impacts greatly the way he thinks about everything and himself, and someone that influences him greatly. Like, we see that Grover is such an important character to Percy as well. Like, absolutely love that. And Tyson and their reconciliation, like when they came together after he thought that Tyson was dead. But when you see how Percy behaves when like Annabeth says we're gonna do this, and or like when he almost loses her to Polyphemus when she gets knocked out, she's bleeding, and you're like, whoa, this is dark. And him shaking it like, don't touch her, his voice is trembling, he's freaking out, he's screaming at Luke. You definitely see more of these kids losing each other. Feels so much more like, oh my gosh. And you don't feel that until Titan's Curse, book 3, when Annabeth goes missing and Percy's like, I'm gonna kill everybody, because why are we not focusing on Annabeth going missing? You kind of see Percy beyond his own point of view of you being like, and you don't know if you have a crush on her, but you're behaving like this. You're kind of like that guy behind the wheel who's like, I can't prove it, but I've got evidence. She's always shocked by him. She's always like, when he's like, I'd better let this down for you, or it only took me 2 days to realize how special you are, or I trust it because it's your idea, it's your plan, or okay, don't tell me, I trust you, boon, whatever. Like his devotion and his commitment to trusting her and being like, I'm gonna go with what you have to say, is so much more apparent in the show, and it's better for their friendship. It shows that this is an actual like heavy friendship. In the books they're a friendship, but it also like the shift between them being friends and like having feelings for each other, it kind of feels a little bit like a lot. Whereas in the show it's not going to feel like a lot. It's going to be like, oh, this like maybe we've been taking notes. It does help the fact that we know what's coming when we watch the show. It does also make you think about like so much of the word choice that's being used, because in a show you can't like, they can't waste script time. You can waste as much time as you want in a book with every little thing, but on a show it's time is money. You can't waste script time. So I do think Percabeth being heavier in the show makes more sense, because it is a driving force for Percy's understanding of everything. Like Annabeth and Grover are the reason why he understands so much of being a demigod, and Grover a little bit less because Grover's a satyr, and Grover also like goes missing a lot in the books. He's always in a quest, an adventure somewhere. It definitely feels more impactful. Like recently I've been rereading Battle of the Labyrinth, guys. So much better than I remember the first time, and I'm really reading it and realizing, oh my gosh, this one's like heavy Percabeth pilled. It's kind of like Percy really coming into the fact that Annabeth is very important to him, and like what she says goes, and like she's so important, right? He'd risk a lot for her, and it's obviously after Titan's Curse you're like, okay, this makes sense, because he literally risked everything just to get to come and save her. She was about to die. So like them building this up, when you start off next season and Annabeth gets taken and Percy's like, I don't know if she's alive, I'm gonna go save her though, I'm gonna do everything I can, I don't believe she's dead, it's gonna make sense, and it's gonna feel like this has been built up over time. People being like it's rushed, no, it's not. It's not rushed. It's just there's a difference between when you're reading something versus when you're watching it, and when you're watching it you have more information to judge and be like, this is so Percabeth pilled. Okay, now going into things that I wish the show did better. Episodes being 32 minutes actually don't piss me off. The episodes are too short, and I think that that's something that they need to fix, because the books get bigger and longer and there's a lot more information, and I think that they need to make the show longer. Some people complain that the show does a lot of lore dumping, but with a book like this you kind of have to do a lot of lore dumping because there's so much information, and if you're watching it without having read the books, it's kind of like, I kind of need to know what's going on. I'm sorry if this video was kind of like me jumping around a lot of like details. I'm not like following a straight path, and obviously like there was details that I didn't include, like when he was like, wise girl, and he woke her up, and her being like, you're my priority over the quest, him being like, you're my priority over the quest, that to me, like that like did numbers to me. Like the argument that Annabeth and Percy have at the by the lake or whatever of Camp Half-Blood, the letters, I can't tell you everything. I just can't. It's so hard for me. Him being like, you know, when you tell somebody something, it makes it less scary. I thought we were past that part. These are things that like, they keep me up at night. Like I haven't moved on from that. Like I love romance. I read a lot of it. Nothing is more romantic than a Percabeth story. Like that to me is like the epitome of romance. The epitome, because it's all about words, actions. It's nothing about physical touch, nothing about nothing. They built that thing up. They built that thing up. They built it. That's all I have to say about season 2 of Percy Jackson. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Annabella Sasha, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.